Hey everyone, of course, welcome to the next edition of Forum Bites podcast. I'm actually sitting here in the back with JB and Mark Slatter on the way down to our retreat. Funny enough, I think, Mark, I know you're really interested in getting this podcast done with me, but I get the impression that no one's going to want to ride in a car with me soon, but that's all right. But today, of course, what I thought was I'd have a quick chat to Mark, one of my forums. How long have you been in the forum with me, Mark?
I'd say probably 6 years, 6 to 7 years.
7 years?
Yep.
Question, mate, though, because I was saying to you before, because did I integrate you, or was I membership chair when you came in? Do you remember? Or was I moderator? Do you remember?
Integrator.
I think that was one of my first forums. JB, the driver here, is making this really easy for Mark to be able to do it. But Mark, I have a quick question for you. I've been speaking to a lot of moderators globally about length of tenure in forum.
Mm-hmm.
And some people stay in forum for short term, some people stay in forum for long term. And you've been in the same forum, funny enough, with me for the whole time. So the question I got for you, mate, is why didn't you move? Why'd you end up staying in the same forum?
Look, I think from what I understand from speaking to other members, obviously forum is the gold. And I think longevity and having other members in your forum who you can get to the 5% is very important. I think it does take some time, and we keep reinventing ourselves as a forum. And I think from speaking to other people, I think we'll probably be one of the higher performing forums, and I think that's got a lot to do with sticking together.
You're saying they're about reinventing yourself. Do you think that's because forums go through, their ups and downs, and we've gone through our ups and downs, mate, of positives and negatives and forum value or lack of forum value. What do you think moderators should do with reinventing? Do you think it's reinventing of how you do it, reinventing of what you do, or is it more of a, you personally reinventing how you do the forum experience?
I think each member of the forum who comes in as moderator has their own style, and I think it's sticking to the core of our constitution, and just little tweaks every now and again.
Because I suppose you need to keep what's working and what's not, from the point of view of delivering what you need for for forum value. Because you've been moderator once, haven't you?
Yes, okay. Once. Yep.
Leading a group of tenured forum members. How was that? No, seriously, how was that? Because you got me, who I've been in for 15 years. JB, who's sitting next to you. JB, you came in 3 years before Mark, didn't you?
I've been in 11, 12 years.
11, 12. So easily 4 years. Mate, that must have been daunting, you taking over as moderator of this, tenured individuals and telling them what to do.
Yes and no. I think it definitely is daunting to start with. I think mine was really quite easy because the previous forum moderator had implemented some new initiatives like the a 180 prior to coming in. So really, that was really a helpful tool for me to get. It wasn't really about what I wanted to implement to the forum. It was about getting the feedback from my other buddies to see what they wanted for the year ahead, and so really I was only just implementing what they all wanted. So that was really useful, and so that was helpful for me, and that gave me a lot of confidence coming in that it's not really what I'm trying to achieve, but it's really what they want.
So to be clear, the way you got over the fact of dealing with, I suppose, a tenured forum or forum who's been together a long time is you made sure you knew what they wanted and then held them accountable for it.
That was right.
Yeah.
That made it really simple and easy for me.
Because one thing, Matt, I enjoyed greatly about your term as moderator is that you called a spade a spade.
Yeah, I was a little bit of Gestapo,
but I
to
think
be honest.
Sometimes you need that.
We just what from some of the training that we did, or maybe because I was still thinking, I think maybe it was the third year or second year I became moderator, and the training really stuck in my head about presentations and how they're the gold, and I just felt that we weren't holding each other to account on our updates,
Yep.
and we were eating into the time of the presentations, and people were just waffling on. So once we implemented the time, really restricting the time to get to the 5%, because we could have those conversations outside of forum, but if someone really wants to have a conversation that long, it should be a presentation. So I think that's what I think changed a little bit.
I think sticking to the plan that they decided that you would implement, and of course part of what they need to do. But mate, I can imagine, I remember thinking about a couple of the tough meetings, there must have been a little bit of frustration from your part. You know, when someone says they're going to do something, we all agree to do something, whatever it is, presentations, keep to script, whatever it is. How did you deal with the frustration, mate, of when it just got off track?
I think just referring to our constitution.
Yeah.
We all sign on to that. So it is a little bit like herding cats sometimes. I just try to just bring us back to that, what we've all signed on for.
Yep. Did you speak to anyone in the forum, mate? Did you did you have like a, I don't know, someone that you ran things past, or did you just like try and deal with the forum as a forum, or was it more one-on-one?
I would seek out feedback after forums, and just to make sure everyone was okay with how my style and implementing what they wanted, and
yep.
And then I just then tweak it again if I needed to from there.
Because it's a tough question, this one, mate, because it's a question I get a lot, and I have my own opinion about it, but it's a tough question. You agree on the agenda and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. You hold them accountable for, filling in roundup forms, or, all the normal stuff that you've agreed to. How did you decide during forum when it was time to throw all that out and go along perhaps something which is critical come up? When did you decide when the plan is something we have to put to the side because there's something else we need to do?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes you've got the plan, and then sometimes you just got to go with your gut, and sometimes maybe people are reluctant to do a presentation, so maybe then you just let them run a bit longer in their update.
Yep.
And that's something I learned from one of the other members, who's probably a little bit less rigid, but he's quite creative. So I think that was some good advice he gave me. I was it's interesting, I was thinking it at the time, do I Gestapo this and stop it, or do I let it run? And I think sometimes you just got to go with your gut and go, okay, we've got these rules, and sometimes you got to bend them just to get the best out of the forum for maybe the person that's got a challenge or an issue. Maybe sometimes you've got to let it run if that's what's going to work best for everyone.
Because, mate, I think it's a good point what you said there about going with your gut. And I know that a lot of people use the car park to put some, challenge that may have been risen. But I've found that most of the time when you have to go off script is when it's a very subtle thing you pick up, not a major thing. Like someone says, I've got a major thing I need to talk about today. That's easy. You make a decision. It's normally, as you said before, about things that people may not want to talk about, which is a hard part. And letting them go a little bit longer on the roundup and then coming back to it, I think, is one way of being able to fish that out, which is good. And was it your reign where we raised the question of you can only ask one question at the end?
Yeah, I think it was.
Because I think our time was blowing out, but I know we used to use only allowing one question after roundups to make a little bit more concise. But also, I suppose, if one person gets, let's say, 5 or 6 questions, it's pretty obvious that there is something more there that the group can feel that might be there, which is a good thing to remember, actually. So, when it comes down to moderators, and they are about to take the reins of perhaps a tenured forum. Maybe they're the youngest member, as in term and EO, and they're about to take on the forum. What is the one thing you would tell them to definitely do to make sure that their role as moderator is a successful one?
I think it was the meetings with all the members before. There's we had one of my buddies in my forum that set that up, who's actually in the car. So I'm not only just saying this because he's in the car, but
Funny enough, no, he actually spoke about that in our first podcast, and that's actually on episode 1, Justin Bolden.
He was our forum chair when I was the moderator, and he was the outgoing moderator when I took over, and it was fantastic for me. It just made it so much easier.
I think that that form, which we spoke about, as I said, I'll leave the link for the other podcast in the actual description. But JB spoke about how we use the 180. I know it's called 360 in some places to ask the questions of the forum members. What they need, what they're getting, are they committed to the forum, and all various different questions to give the information to the moderator incoming, so that moderator knows what the forum needs before they make the plan, not after, which I think is an exceptionally good point. Well, thank you, mate. I know they're doing a podcast. This is Mark's first podcast, so I do want to congratulate him for being able to be part of it. And these two boys are now off the hook. They're done. So as always, guys, if you have any questions, you can, of course, leave it in the comment section if you're on YouTube. If you're not, of course, naturally, you can email me directly. If you haven't subscribed already, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button either on the podcast or on YouTube. And as always, I'll be talking to you soon on the next podcast.